Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all okay. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these earrings like this. So it's kind of like the bead fringe earrings, but it's all joined together so that they don't come apart. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to show you how to make this shape today. Once you know how to do that, you can do all sorts of different shapes. So you can do like wider and shorter to do this kind of shape. And I also did this really cute little house. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these today, so let's get started. So to make one of these earrings, you're going to need some size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to be using Delica seed beads, which are these ones here, and they cut like a tube shape, so they're cut flat, so they all stack together really neatly. So I'm going to be using them. You can use round seed beads, it just won't have quite such a neat finish. So, and I'm going to do the same similar kind of pattern to this with like one main colour and then some accent colours, but however many colours you want to use and whatever pattern you want to do, that's up to you completely. So I'm going to be doing this purple for the main background colour, and the number for this is DB1868, and then I'm going to be using 4 different colours. I've got a blue, a turquoise, a pink and a silver lined purple for like all the sprinkle bits in between. And I'm basing it off of this t-shirt that I'm going to be wearing to a concert. So I wanted to pick out some of these colours for these speckly bits. So they're the colours I'm going to be using, and then you'll also need your thread. So I'm going to be using Fire Lime. I'm going to use the smoke for this in £6. If you wanted to leave the earring so that if you wanted to leave the earring like a fringe where they're not all joined together and they're just like loose, I'd recommend using something that's not as stiff as Fire Lime, so like this Nymo thread. So it's going to give you a nicer fringe, it's going to hang nicer, because the Fire Lime is a bit stiff and it won't really hang very well if you wanted to leave it as a fringe. You will also need your earring hooks or earring findings, and I'm just using these little ball studs with the little ring on, and I'll need 2 jump rings for those, and a beading needle. I think that's everything, so let's get started. Okay, so I've threaded my needle, and the first part we're going to do is the brick stitch section at the top. So I'm going to briefly go through this, but if you need more guidance on how to do brick stitch, I have a tutorial for all the basics of brick stitch on my channel, so if you want to check that out if you're not familiar with it. I'm going to go through it quickly but not too much detail. So we're going to start by picking up 2 of our main colour and sliding those down, leaving 5 or 6 inches on this tail thread, and then you're going to sew back up through the first one, just through the first one. So you got this, and now I'm going to sew down through the second one. Okay, so I've got this, now I'm going to pick up another one in the same colour, and I'm coming out the bottom of this one. Excuse the black on my fingers, it's from this thread. So we're coming out the bottom of this one, so we're going to circle round and go down through the top. So we have this, now you're going to go up through that one that you just added. So you've got 3 in a row. Now you're going to add another one in the same colour, coming out the top of the bead, you're going to go round into the other side. So you got this, now you're coming out the top here, so you're going to go down through that one that you just added. Pick another one up, and you're coming out of the bottom of this one, you're going to circle round and go through the top. So you have this, and now you're going to go back up through that one you just added. Now we're going to pick up one more. So we're coming out the top, so this time I'm going to go up through the bottom of that bead that we're coming out of, and back down through the one we just added. Okay, pull it tight and you should have this. Mine's actually sitting pretty straight, but what I'm going to do is I'm coming out the bottom of this one, I'm going to go up through the one next to it, and then down through the one next to that, up through the one next to it, and just go up, down until I get to the other end. So down through the one after that, and back up through the first one, which is where your tail should be coming out of. So that should just straighten it out nicely. So you should have this. Now I'm going to turn it around so that my working thread is on the right side, because I like to work right to left. I'm going to pick up another one in the same colour. And this is where the brick stitch begins, so I'm going to try and hold this. First row is a bit tricky to hold. So here's our first row, so I'm coming out of this one on the end. I've picked up one in the same colour, and I don't know if you can see, but here's the first bead, here's the second bead, and there's a little thread bridge that connects them together. You want to take your needle under those threads, pull that through, and go up through that bead we just added. When you pull it tight, that bead should anchor in place like bricks. So picking up the next one. So now you're coming out the top of this bead here, you need to find your next thread bridge that connects the second bead to the third bead. And you're going to go under that, like that, pull that down, and go back up through that bead that we just added. So you have two, I'll show you one more time. Picking up another bead in the same colour, going to find your next bridge of thread, so you're going through the thread that connects the third bead to the fourth bead, go under that thread, pull the bead down, and go back up through the bead that we just added. Okay, so you have this, so you've got two more thread bridges here, you're going to add two more beads in that same way. And like I said before, if you need more instruction on how to do brick stitch in more detail, then check out the brick stitch basics video on my channel. So then you should have this. So I've turned it round again so that my thread's on the right side, because like I said, I like to work from right to left. And sorry the beads are a bit flashy now, I just put the light on because the natural daylight's fading fast. So we're going to do another row the same. This time you're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads, same colour, using the same technique. So go under that first bridge of thread, pull it down, go up through the bead, and then go under the second bridge of thread, third and fourth. So do that all the way along, then I'll show you how to do the next row. Okay, so I've done another row. As you can see, now I'm going to flip it over again. So this time you're going to do the same thing again, working from right to left. You're going to add 1, 2, 3 beads using that same technique. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll do the next row. Okay, so there's my next row. I'm going to turn it around again. Wow, these are so sparkly. And I'm going to do another row, but this time there's just 2 thread bridges. I'm just going to add 2 beads, and this is our last row. So I'm just going to add those 2 beads in the same way. So now we have this. Now I'm going to add my earring finding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of the same colour that I've been using, and then my earring, and then another one of that same colour. And I'm coming out of this bead on this side, so I'm going to go down through that one on the top row on the other side, and then make sure that there's a bead sitting either side and my earring thing in the middle, then pull it down, and then I'm going to come back up through this one on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to go up through that first one that we've just added, through the jump ring again, through my earring finding, and back through the one on the other side. Down, and then I'm going to go down into that bead on the top row again. I'm going to pull that really tight. And now I'm just going to circle through that again a couple more times. So I'm going up through those two, through the earring finding, and down through the two on the other side. Okay, pulling that tight. So now we have this. Okay, so you're coming out of this one here. You're going to move your needle down through all of these right on the edge. So you're going to go through this one, through the next two, and through the bottom one right on the edge. So you should be coming out of this bottom bead right on the far right side. Okay, now I'm going to turn it round so that I'm holding the triangle upside down now, like this. So now we're going to add our strands. So for each strand I'm going to pick up 25 beads, and I'm going to do it like really randomly. I'm going to pick up mainly the purple beads, and then in between I'm going to do like some splashes of these different colours. I'm going to pick up 2 of them at a time, but your strands need to be 25 beads, so pick up 25 beads in whichever colour pattern you want to do. So like I said, I'm just doing random like this. As you can see, it's just like random mixture. I've picked up 2 pink, 2 turquoise, then 3 pink, 2 yellow, and so on. So I'm going to pick up my first lot of 25 beads. Okay, so I've picked up my 25 beads like this, and then I'm going to slide those down till they meet with the top of my triangle, like that. Now what you need to do is pull in one of these back. So you're going to skip over that one, you're not going to go through that last one, you're going to go back up through the other 24 beads. So it can be a little fiddly. So usually I would hold mine like this. So I've left that one bead, I've left that last one to slide down, and I'm going to go back through the first 24 that we added. Doesn't matter if you can't get through them all at once, it's really tricky. So go through them all, don't worry about any spaces at the minute of thread that you can see. These beads are dazzling me. So go through all 24 like that, and then also go back up into that bead that they're coming out of on the end. And when you pull it through, hold on to that last bead. Hold on to that last bead and then pull it down until it sits like that. So that's the first strand. So now I'm coming out at the top of this one, so on this bottom row I'm going to go down through the next one on the bottom row. Make sure you don't pull it too tight or your beads will all bunch up at this point. Now you need to add another strand of 25. So pick up your next 25 beads. And by the way, if you're doing a random colour pattern like this, you don't want to start by picking up like blue every time for your first, otherwise all the blues are going to be in line. So I'll start like with the green this time instead. So pick up your 25. Okay, so I've got my 25 again. So again, I'm going to slide them all down to meet the top of the triangle, like that. And then I'm going to pull this one back. So I'm going to let that one just hang on the thread. And the rest of them, I'm going to sew back through the rest, through the first 24. Wow, that was good. I got through them all. So go through those 24, you leave that other one hanging on the thread, and then also back up through that bead that they're connected to. Remember, when you pull it down, hold on to that bead that you left off, that 25th bead, hold on to that when you pull it down, and that will ensure that you don't get like lumps and bumps. Should stop it from doing that. So now you've got this, you've got 2 strands. So now we need to reposition our thread again. So we're coming out the top of this second bead, so go down through the 3rd bead on that bottom row. Make sure you don't get caught on your earring. And then again, you're going to pick up another 25. Okay, so I've got my 25 again. So slide those right down till they join your piece like this, and then again take that 25th bead, just let that slide down, and then sew back through the other 24. So once you've got through all of those, then also go back through that bead that you're coming out of. Like that. Remember, when you pull your needle through, hold this other bead with your other thumb and finger as you pull it down. So I'm holding onto that bead as I pull this down with the needle. Okay, so now we've got 3 strands, and this is what it's looking like. So now you need to keep doing the same thing, so reposition your thread so you're coming out the bottom of this 4th one, add your 25 beads, and then keep doing that until you've got 6 strands, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I've done all my 6 strands, and I'm coming out of this bead on the end, but I'm coming out the top of this bead. Now if you wanted to leave it like this, you wanted to just do a fringe, then I guess the earring's done and all you need to do is tie off your threads. And what I'd recommend is, before you tie your knots, to lay it down on a beading mat and just roll like this. Roll the beads, just pull them into place, roll them so that they're lying nice and flat. There's no like tension that's making them like bunch up, and just get it perfect before you tie your knots. But we're not going to be doing that. So if you want to carry on and you want to join them all together, it's really simple. So what you need to do is reposition your thread. So I'm going to hold my tail thread out of the way. So what I'm going to do is, I'm coming out of this one, I'm going to go down through the next bead, like that. And up through the one after that. I'm coming up through this one, I'm going to go down through the next one in this bottom row of brick stitch, up through the one after that, pull it tight so you don't get like a little thread poking out, and then down through the last one. So you're just zigzagging up and down till you get to the other end basically. pull that through tight. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it around again so I'm facing this way. So what you're going to do now is move your thread down that first strand right till the end of that strand. Okay, so my thread's coming out of the very last bead on that strand. Now you need to hold your strands so that they're not twisted, so they're all in the right order. So you don't want your third one overlapping to become your second one or something like that. So make sure they're all lying where they're supposed to be. And then you're going to sew from this first bead into the last bead on the next one. And do that all the way along. So I'm going to go into the last bead on the strand after that, the last bead on the strand after that. So you're joining together the ends of these strands. So I've joined those ones together, so I'm going to go through the last bead in the next strand and the last bead in the last strand. Okay. So that you have this. Okay, now we're coming out of the last strand. You're going to move all the way up through that final strand, back up to the top. Okay, so that's basically how I join them together. So it's like this. These are all separate, but it's all joined at the bottom like that. So what you can do if you want it to sit like really straight, you don't want any gaps, is you can go down to the middle of the strand. So zigzag back across to the end and go down to the middle of this strand, and you can join them together by zigzagging up and down like this across this middle of the strand. But I kind of like this, just how it is, like this, and look how sparkly it is, I can't believe it. So that's how I did it, and that's exactly the same for these other ones. So this is just the same, but I started with a longer row of ladder stitch. So for this one we just did 6 beads and then got going with the brick stitch. For this one I started with a lot more beads and then got going with the brick stitch, and that makes it wider. I did shorter strands to make it like this chunkier shape, and then these strands are all separate, you can't really see, but they're all separated. It's just joined at the bottom. So that's that one, and then the same for the house. I just came up with this little house pattern, which is kind of cute. So that's how we do it. Now all you need to do is tie your threads off. So to do that, usually I'll just move up into the brick stitch, move up a couple of beads into the brick stitch. Be careful if you're using these silk inside Delica beads because they break easily. Now before you tie your knots, hold it, make sure it's sitting flat, and hold it between your thumb and finger like this as you pull the knot through. So I'm just going to create a knot here by taking my needle through there, through underneath the thread that connects those 2 beads together. Again, I'm going to hold it so it's sitting flat how I want it. Pull that through. Oops. Got caught. And then I'm going to go through that loop 2 times, and then I'm going to pull it down until it tightens up like that, and then I'm going to move my needle along, go down the other side and tie some knots on the other side as well. And then you're just going to do the same exact thing with your tail thread, so just tie a couple of knots with that as well. Okay, so once you've tied off your threads, then that's the finished earring. So this is it. Cannot believe the sparkle on these beads. So yeah, the beads were, this is them, and they're Delica beads, they're silk inside dyed, and the colour is 1868. And I also used the silk inside blue ones, and the colour of that is 1860. And I also used silk inside aqua, and the colour of that is 1869. And then I just used a silver lined purple and a pink luster, which was 0247. So that is how I got this crazy sparkle. So yeah, that's the finished earring. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful in one way or another. And comment down below what else you'd like to see, and like this video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe to keep up with all of my videos. And like I said, there's a brick stitch tutorial if you want to get some more info on how to do brick stitch. That's on my channel already, you'll have to scroll down a little bit for it. And follow me on Instagram at Bead by Hannah, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.